Going in a sec. Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another preview show, Premier Division preview show this time, and delighted to welcome Luke on. Luke, how are you? You well?
Oh, good. How are you?
Fantastic, not a bother. We'll start off with the Brandywell. Why not? Derry City take on Bohemians on Friday, and it's a big game. This one, Luke. To be fair, I mean Derry. With Shamrock Rovers playing on Sunday, Derry will want to put pressure on and go a point behind Rovers. I know Rovers would have a couple of games in hand, but you want to be able to put that pressure on. Derry's home form though hasn't been the best this season for a team. If you really want to be challenging for a title, your home form needs to be better. So they need to start on Friday, in my opinion, because we're coming into the run in now, aren't we? Really, and they
Yeah,
have to be consistent for the last 7, 8 games or so. Very consistent if they've any
right.
chance of really challenging Shamrock Rovers. So they have to win, in my opinion. It's a must win actually for them on Friday. The last time they met Bows the Brandywell, they finished 1-1 as well, but they've beaten Bows twice at Dalymount Park. So that tells you as
Hmm.
well, like their away form has been really good in general. Then you've Bows on the other hand, obviously under Derek Pender had that big, let's say, emotional win against Shamrock Rovers. But now we're a week later as such, and it'd be interesting to see if they can put in the same type of performance. Like we all know, one week you can play better than you do the next week, but they need that full bloodedness that they showed against Bows or against Shamrock Rovers in this game as well, because it is a difficult game for them. But as I said, with Derry at home a lot of the time, sitting back seems
Hmm.
to work against them. And Bulls do have players for the counter attack that can cause serious problems. We've seen it in the past. I've seen it against Rovers as well. You know, your Lean Burts, etc. Brilliant going forward. James Clark can get forward on a counter attack into good positions as well. It's an intriguing game, isn't it? Because it's a big test for Bowes after last Friday, but it's also a big test for Shamrock or for Derry because they're trying to claw Shamrock Rovers as well. So intriguing game. It's actually on RT as well. This one.
Yeah, it is. It's an interesting game. It's definitely one that to keep an eye on. Look, Derry. I said it there in the review show there on the weekend that I thought still think that Derry are missing a gear that they can, seriously, they can really get better. They've got the players and that to do that. And look, they have had injuries this season. They've had their captain leave and also like some things have gone against them, that type of way. They did go on that run of form in the around, you know, around that break. Remember when they went, I don't know how many games without winning, and
Eight, I
there
think
was a
it was.
yeah, there was a few losses in there, plenty of draws and that, you know what I mean.
Mm.
So they did go on these little runs, and then they ended up, since then I think they've sort of settled the ship. They've dropped a few points, but they're also winning games against some tough teams as well. So they're getting points in that, and they're in a decent position, and they're probably in a position we expected them to be. I don't really think. Look, I said at the start, like I know there's a few people that maybe mentioned like, oh, Derry have a chance of winning the league here, and I didn't think they would, to be honest. So look, I think they'll be happy with where they are in the league, and they could potentially, if they had got a few more points in that sort of run of 8 games where they didn't win, like they definitely could be, looking at themselves higher up the table. Obviously first even, you know what I mean, and they could be looking at themselves in a completely different position. But yeah, that's a lot of another thing of ifs and buts. But um, for this game, look, they've just got to go in and win it. I think if they want to put any sort of pressure on Rovers, and look, I can't see Rovers crumbling now this late in the season. And look, I know that they're entering their Conference League group, this week during the week on Thursday. So obviously their priorities and their minds are going to be elsewhere just for a few weeks and that, you know what I mean. And look, they'll obviously still be looking at the league and finishing a job there because they still have to do a professional job, and they're in the best position in the league. You know what I mean? They're in the best shape. You know what I mean? Their squad is the best in the league. Rovers, they're top of the league. They're playing in the Conference League. It's what every club sort of dreams of. You know what I mean? So, I don't think they'll really crumble under the pressure. But Derry will want to, make it uneasy for them. And they've got to win football matches to do that, and they've got to get points on the board to do that. So to get a bit closer to them. But for Bow's perspective, they've got to, you know, maintain that performance from Friday against Shamrock Rovers. They've got to go out again and do it again. Do you know what I mean? And you've got to keep doing it. They need consistency towards the end of the season. Look, I can't see them pushing any further than where they are in the table. I don't think they have what it takes to do that. But if they can win and they get a few games, you know what I mean. If they win here now and again in the Brandywell, it's going to real breed confidence, you know what I mean. And we'll be having different conversations about Bohemians. But yeah, look, they would have been delighted with it last week, but they've got to forget about that now and go out on Friday and do a job up in the Brandywell, because it's a very tough game. It's one of the toughest grounds to go to.
Yeah, I suppose the only good thing for Derry now coming into the run-in is that they've only got Kieran Harkin injured, I believe, at this minute in time.
Yeah.
So obviously your McElhennys are available. Duffy is back. Diallo's come in, made an impact. They have signed Mark Connolly. Boyce is back. So I think they're, in terms of their squad, they're probably in the strongest position they have been all season, to be fair. And I'm sure they look at it and say, look, let's give this a real right bash for the last number of games, including the Cup, of course, as well. So, but as I said, it kind of feels like it is a must win for them if they want to try and catch Rovers, though, on Friday.
No, 100%. And you made a good point there about the Cup as well. I think they will be looking at the Cup as a chance of silverware. Look, I know there's only 2 possible cups that you can win in the league at the minute. I don't know if there is going to be plans for next season or in a few years to bring back the League Cup, because I think it is an interesting thing that they could bring that back. You know what I mean? I think it should be brought back. Gives an opportunity to teams to get more silverware, and I think Derry will be looking at the FAI Cup now. And the next look, they've got a very tough game against Rovers, and to be honest, if they can get by Rovers in the Cup, I think they're going to be possibly, I think they'll be the favourites to win it. And I think they'll be the strongest in that position to win it. So look, they've got to do a job there in a few weeks when they do play that one. But they're solely focused now at the minute, I'd say, on just getting points on the board in the league and keep winning games, because you mentioned there as well about their home form not being the best. I think they've had 2 home wins in a certain amount of games, and I think them 2 home wins were against UCD, which is, they won't look for a team who want to be, you know, pushing for a league title. It's not good enough, you know what I mean? But if they can settle that ship now in the next few weeks and, you know, build a bit of confidence at home and make it a really tough place to go to, because it can be a really tough place to go to when the crowd and that's behind the pitch, you know what I mean, is always a problem, I think. But look, they can do it. They have a real opportunity here to, you know, put a bit of a pressure on Shamrock Rovers. So we'll see how that goes.
How are you calling it?
I'm going to go Derry 2-1.
I'm going to go 1-1 draw again. Drogheda United take on St. Patrick's Athletic ahead in the game park, and you and I know that Drogheda haven't had a good record against Pats this season. Now, in fairness, they did get a good point in Inchicore on April Fool's Day, actually, but 2, I suppose, hefty beatings, I guess. One at head in the game, which was very rare, one at Richmond Park. But this is an opportunity for Drogheda, who didn't play that well actually against Sligo, to get back to their home ground. And look, I know from players as well, when a team, and I know from playing myself, when you get beaten well by a team, do you know what I mean? You remember that, don't you? And you really want to put it in the next time at home. So I'm personally, from a Pats perspective, anticipating a really difficult game here at Head Game Park. Obviously, Pats are in good form as well, but Drogheda and Pats as well are 2 teams that don't have many injuries at the moment either. There's a question mark over Keith Cowan. I don't think there's anyone else, as far as I know. Obviously, Luke Keane's back. A bit of it. Ryan Brennan could be a doubt, but he could be back. You know, that kind of way. It's a possibility. Pat's the same. There's no one really injured there in their squad at the moment as well. I know Gravosti was missing, but he was on the bench the last day. So I can't think of anyone missing. So again, both teams would be happy that they've got a full pick pretty much of their squads. How are you seeing this one? It's important from Drogheda, I suppose, to put in the display after their defeat in Sligo, and I've no doubt they will.
Yeah, look, it's a home game. I think, you know, it's the crowd again. We're gonna have to play a big part in this one. Get behind the team, and you know, I say it every week, but they've been unbelievable. And you know, when these sort of teams do come to head in the game park this season, they haven't really had it easy. Maybe that one time for Pats, you know what I mean, the 4-0, which was, that game sort of caught me. You know what I mean. I was surprised by that. I was surprised by Drogheda's performance. I was surprised by the rootlessness.
I think at that point as well, Luke, if I remember correctly, Drogheda I know they had another little mini run, but I think that was their worst phase of the season.
It was, yeah, no, it was. Yeah, it was. I think they'd lost as well the week before that or something as well. So I think the thing is there now, I think that game, Pats showed a lot of, they were very rootless, I thought. The chances they got, they were very good in. They were very good. I think Darragh Burns had a great game that game. You know, I think, which was pretty normal for him against Drogheda, to be honest.
They won't have him, I suppose.
Yeah, But look, and then obviously last time we played in Richmond was, a tough night again. Like, so, Drogheda will be out for blood, I think. And look, you know what I mean? They've got to go out and get in Pat's face from the very first whistle, give them absolutely nothing. And if you can do that, then you know what I mean. You do have a chance in the game. So a crowd behind them and all. It is a tough game for Pats. A tough game for Drogheda, of course. The quality that they have. I don't know which way to call this one. To be honest with you, it's one I'm intrigued to see which way sort of both teams approach it. Obviously, I think Tim will approach it probably the same sort of way he's approached it every time he's played Drogheda this season, and try and get in there early and get an early chance and that early goal or something, because they got an early goal when they did play ahead in the game park, and they would have been pleased with that. So I think about Drogheda is, don't concede early. Do not concede early. Conceded early up in Sligo, which, it does kill you, to be honest, because I think when you start the game, I thought Drogheda started that game quite well. They were comfortable, and then you get hit by a sucker punch, so you don't want that. But yeah, Drogheda have got to, get the crowd behind them, hopefully get in the faces of Pats and give them nothing, and hopefully, you know what I mean, get a decent result. But it's going to be a very tough game.
Yeah, I think you're right. I find it said in the game park, if Drogheda generally keep it tight in these type of matches, in particular, if they keep it tight, they find a way of getting into the game later on, and they can often score, and they've done well in these big matches overall. Whereas you're right, Pats are probably looking at it and saying, if you can get a goal early, that's probably your best opportunity to beat them. Because funnily enough, actually, a lot of Drogheda's results that haven't gone against them this season have been early goals. So you kind of halt their momentum ahead in the game. Rovers did that, I know, in the Cup recently enough, and probably should have been 2 or 3 up at half time. That's their fault, you know what I mean? But the opportunity was there, and we've seen a game where Rovers went there in the league, for example, and didn't take any opportunities, and Drogheda grew into it and ended up scoring. So I think you're right there. I think what happens in the first 20 minutes of this game could be crucial. I personally think, I see it as, I do think it'd be very tight. I think it'll be a draw, this one, to be honest with you, because I think the 4-0 Pats had in Head Game Park, that was an exception to the actual rule of how Drogheda do at home. If Pats were to eke out a 1-0 win or 2-1, it'd be a great result, and it keeps them going, that kind of way. But from Drogheda's point of view, as you said there, I don't think they performed great against Sligo. Often when they get back in home turf, they're a different story. So I'm calling a draw, personally.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I'm gonna go with a draw myself. I'd say 1-1, but yeah, I think you're right as well. I think if Pats can get a goal early, it can obviously, sort of change the momentum in the game. But, I think, look, it was Derry, you know what I mean, got a 1-0 lead against Drogheda, got back into the game. Shamrock Rovers got a 1-0 early start, got into the game. Shells got an early goal, got back into the game as well. So Drogheda can get back into games, which is worth noting as well.
Yeah.
But you don't want to concede early. You don't want to do that. You do want to give yourself, a chance to win the game. So, yeah, look, it's a big game for Drogheda. I do feel like they could do it. You know, just getting a bit of confidence now and getting a few results towards now at the end of the season, and hopefully push Shells a little bit, and get a bit closer now to safety. And a win here would really do that, I think. But I'm gonna go with a draw.
All right, on to Talca Park. Shelbourne take on Sligo also on Friday night. And Shelbourne have had 2 wins against Sligo this season. Sligo have had 1 win. Sligo 2 wins on the bounce. And 2 home wins on the bounce as well. They will be delighted with that, but gone away from home now as well. And Shelbourne generally have been better away from home when I've seen them play this season. To be honest with you, I don't know what it is. Maybe because they sit in and they're decent when they sit in. They did that against Dundalk, for example, at Oriel Park for long spells of the game. But they will be expecting to have a bit more possession against Sligo Rovers. Sligo Rovers are obviously 7 points behind Pats in the league as well. And we have that situation with Dundalk, who I won't go into too much detail at the moment because I'm waiting to see what happens. But obviously, suggestions, obviously, that Adam McDonald should have been suspended for the Dundalk game. And he played against Dundalk and Sligo won 2-0. But there's been a few things there I wouldn't really like to comment on publicly yet, let's say. So we'll wait and see what happens there, basically, that kind of way. But Sligo will be hoping that doesn't... I suppose, influence their performance when they go to Talca Park.
No, I don't think it will. I think that's a different matter altogether, you know what I mean? And that'll be hopefully dealt with in the right way. Look, as you said, we won't speak publicly on it because we don't know the ins and outs in it, so we're not going to comment on it. But hopefully that'll be dealt with in the own way, in the correct manner. But I think aside from that, I think Sligo will have to go into this one and just be focused on the pitch and not what's going on off the pitch. They've got a big game here, you know what I mean? And look, if Sligo do have any chance of pushing them European, they probably have to win every game or get points in every game. Do you know what I mean? And not really lose these sort of games. And look, they haven't had a great record against Shells this season. I think the last time they played in Talca, Shells bet them 2-1, I think it was, or something like that.
That might have been Shelbourne's first game of the season. Now, Shelbourne fans will probably know better, but just at the top of my head, I have a feeling it might have been Shelbourne's first win at home this season. At Talca, yeah. Because I think it took them a while to actually win at Talca this season. I know they won a few away games. Do you remember that? For ages,
I think it might have been. It was
yeah.
I think it was something like that, definitely, because they were in that sort of bad
I'm sure someone will tell us in the comments if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
anyway.
Sure will be told anyways. But look, it's for Shells, it's again another big game. You know what I mean? They've had a few tough results in the last few weeks. I think since that whole thing of what happened with the St. Pat's game being called off and having such a lot of games been postponed.
I wonder as well, Luke, to be honest, with their position in the table, they're kind of neither here nor there. Like, they're safe, which is fine for them this season. But I just wonder if they're starting to wander towards the cup a little bit, their heads, like, you know what I mean? That could be a little distraction going into this game, because I'm sure players won't want to be injured for the cup game against Bows. I mean, it's an opportunity to get into a semi-final. They're not going to be relegated. They're not getting into Europe. So even subconsciously, they might be a little bit distracted here, which might give Sligo the upper hand, perhaps.
Look, I do think Sligo will win this game, but you've made a good point there. I think I do fancy the fact that Shells are going to be keeping that one eye on the cup. And I know Duff said it a few weeks ago that he'd love to win the cup. And of course they would. Why wouldn't they? And they are capable of going far. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because what are they, 2 wins away from it? Like, do you know what I mean? And that's all. They've got a good chance against Bows as well. I think it's a home Talca as well. So it's going to be packed, I'm sure. And look, I'm sure we'll talk about that in a few weeks. But they will be keeping an eye on that sort of fixture, and they'll be one eye on it, I think, because they've got they do have a serious chance here of winning the cup, or even just getting into a final or a semi-final. So look, they have a big opportunity, but they will be focused on the league for the minute, and they will want to win this game, of course, and they'll want to win every game between now and the end of the season. They'll want to go 9 from 9 or whatever, how many games they've left. They'll want to win the game. So look, it's a big game, I think, for Sligo. And I do think Sligo will just scrape by here. I'm going to say 1-0 Sligo, but I think Shells, look, it could go either way, and Shells could easily win this and it could come back and bite me, but I do think it's going to be 1-0 Sligo.
I think it's not going to be a great game, and someone might nick it 1-0, but I'm going to go for 0-0. So don't watch that game, guys, on Friday unless you're Shelbourne and Sligo. UCD and Dundalk at Belfield, and at this stage of the season, and with obviously Pat's getting closer to Dundalk, these are the type of games you really have to win from a Dundalk point of view at this point of the season. They were scared earlier on the season. Do you remember they drew 2-2 in Belfield and they were 2-0 up with? Yeah. They were 2-0 up, I think, and there was a half an hour.
I think Andy Boyle was sent off, wasn't he?
Andy Boyle got sent off in that game as well. He did, yeah. On half time, which was just, I mean, right in half time to get sent off, you know what I mean? But anyway, you'd wonder if they will be scared a little bit from that. But again, I'm not going to say it's a must win for Dundalk because a lot can change, but they haven't won now in a couple of weeks, and this does give them an opportunity to get the 3 points. And from their point of view, if they weren't to beat UCD, you'd be getting a little worried, I think, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. You're right, to be honest. It is in Belfield. You're right. It's in Belfield as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd be worried. I'd be interested to see what way will Dundalk play this high line, the famous high line. You know what I mean? Are they going to play this high line? Because UCD have some really, really solid players that can exploit that. The likes of Duffy, Lonergan. Do you know what I mean? Other players that can definitely get in behind them. So I'd be interested to see what way.
Even, yeah.
I'd be interested to see what way they're going to go about this one. But you would fancy Dundalk here, to be honest, because they've had a few tough, results. Their sort of squad's been a bit hit at the minute with injuries and that, you know what I mean? So Hubin's still a big loss for them, I think. I don't know what his injury is, and he seems to be having a serious issue with injuries this season.
It's definitely a muscle injury. I think it could be calf.
Yeah, I think it is, but he's had it a few times now this season. It's not been great for him, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So he is definitely a loss for them, and you'd wonder now at the end of the season, will they look at obviously they'll want to keep him, but will they look at bringing in another striker as well to sort of give Houben a bit of a chance, really? Look, I know John Martin's been playing up there, and I know he's a decent player, but he's not that sort of quality that.
And even Macmillan as well. It really depends how Steve O'Donnell rates them at this point, isn't it? Like, that kind of way. John Martin, though, is a weird player because, he can play up front, but when he was at Waterford, I think he got 12 goals last season, 10 or 12 goals. Most of that was from the right-hand side as well. So he seems to do better when he's on the right and coming in, if you like, and winning headers at the back post and that type of job, so it's difficult to say. But you're right about Houben, actually, to be fair. Houben is a very, very good player. And he's one of those players, though, that doesn't have to be fully fit to almost play him. But the fact is, he is picking up a lot of muscle injuries as well. And you're right, you kind of have to look at, can you depend that he's going to be fit all season? Probably not, to be honest,
No, he's not, definitely not. Because he's definitely, look, he's a top class player, one of the best strikers in the league, one of the best strikers to ever play in the league. He's unbelievable. But he is not getting younger. Do you know what I mean? As well. So they do have to, put that into the mind as well. And they should. I'm not saying to get rid of him. They should definitely.
It's just once you start picking up muscle injuries, they're very difficult to shake off, aren't they? Particularly when you do hit around 30-ish, they're very difficult to shake off, and that's the problem, I think. Could be just a little spasm and he's out for a couple of games.
Yeah. So it exactly, and it's about managing them now.
Yeah.
I think, you know what I mean. And look, Stevie will know that himself. You know what I mean. He'll have noticed that the injuries he's picking up this season, they're all the sort of similar injuries as well. So look, hopefully he'll come back for Dundalk because they need him. I think. Do you know what I mean? There's no other way of putting it. He's unbelievable. And you can see their lack of goals is there. Do you know what I mean? At the minute, definitely a lack of goals, and I think the defending as well last few weeks has not been great either. So.
It's not a great recipe for winning matches, is it? Conceding goals and not scoring.
No, it's not. And I don't know what way to call this game, to be honest. But I'm going to say 1-1, to be honest.
Ooh, he's gone for it, yeah. I wouldn't rule out UCD at all, and they still have their relegation battle within Harps, where there's only 2 points in it, so they have to keep going. They will be disappointed with the result in Derry. As JP said, it wasn't as clear cut as the scoreline suggested, so they'll be disappointed with that. But I do think Dundalk are at a state now where they kind of have to win this game, and they need to show maybe a little bit of bottle as well, and I think they might just do it and win 2-1. On Sunday, we'll tie this in a little bit to Rovers' game in Europe, because they play Finn Harps on Sunday, obviously coming back after a European game, and the European game is on Thursday against Djurgardens as well. And those games in Europe, Luke, they've got Djurgardens, they've got Ghent, and they've got Molde. It's not an impossible group. It's not a group where you would say they'll get out of, let's say, necessarily. No. But maybe they've a little bit of a fighting chance. It's not West Ham and Fiorentina maybe type job, you know what I mean? And they have to look at it as such. And their home record's so good in Europe recently as well. It's actually fantastic. 8 wins the last 10. That you'd fancy them picking up points, certainly at home. Now, their away form will have to improve if they've any chance to, say, challenging to get through. But they don't need to win the group, of course. They can finish second. But Djurgardens at home, Swedish team, it isn't going to be easy. But some of the teams they've beaten recently at home, they got to give themselves a chance to win, surely.
Oh, yeah, of course. Look, they'll be confident. And I think they'll be pleased with the group, because you look at some of the teams in the conference that you mentioned too, there, West Ham and Fiorentina, definitely wouldn't have wanted to face them. But I think they'll be pleased with their group. I think, some of the teams that they could have got, you mentioned too, there, West Ham and Fiorentina, they wouldn't have wanted that. So they've got I wouldn't say favourable, because it's, you're playing European group stage football. No game's going to be favourable, but they've got a chance here. So yeah, look, they'll be confident enough in the home games they play. And look, obviously you said they want to improve their away record, so they'll be looking at doing that as well. And winning these sort of games will bring more money in, be great for the coefficient, to be brilliant just for the league. And yeah,
you're kind of looking at this game, you're saying to yourself, they can't lose this game, because I do think it'll put a lot of doubt in their mind going into the other games, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Look, they'll be looking at a home win to start off, or even a draw, even, you know what I mean? Just a result, because if they can get a result there, that they will get confidence from it, and that they can compete with these type of teams. So I've no doubt they can compete, because Rovers are a quality team. So yeah, look, they'll be confident enough in this game. I don't know what way it'll go, because I don't know an awful lot about this Djurgardens. Do you know what I mean? I've heard of them before, but I don't I can't really say I know enough about them, but I think I'll be interested and intrigued to see what way they approach it with Shamrock Rovers, and I'm sure they'll want to play on the front foot like they always do against any team and play their type of football, because if they can play their type of football, there is, especially at home, there's even some European teams will struggle there, you know.
Definitely. And obviously on to Sunday, they're going to take on Finn Harps in the league. And technically on paper, after playing the European game on Thursday, they'd kind of look at this thinking it could be worse, let's be honest. Like Finn Harps fans won't like to hear that, but the way they're playing at the moment, it doesn't look like there's much spirit, in my opinion, in the squad either. And they'll need a lot of spirit for this game. But Shamrock Rovers obviously possibly missing a couple of players. Like Graham Burke there, like Graham Burke annoys me a bit because he gets a lot of injuries as well. He's a good player, but he's always picking up injuries, and
Yeah,
it's a problem for them, to be fair. And obviously Lopez out and that kind of thing as well. But they can rotate a few players and still be confident, in my opinion, that they can go into this game looking to get the 3 points, because it's something what they want to do domestically as well, surely.
yeah, of course. Look, they'll want to just see it out now and get that third consecutive league title, which would be a top class achievement. You know what I mean? And look, they'll be looking over their shoulder a little bit at Derry and that, but I don't think they're going to be too worried. I think they just got to focus on themselves and play their own football and not be worried about what Derry are doing, because if they can just do that themselves, they will win. They will win the league. You know what I mean? And I've no doubt they are not. I've no doubt that they'll win the league, because they're in such a good position. You know what I mean? I've no doubt in them. So yeah, look, you'd expect them to win this game comfortably enough, but Finn Harps will just it's a tough one. It's a tough to talk about because like you don't know what you're going to get from Finn Harps.
I think that's the problem, Luke. You kind of do this season, and that's the issue, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like usually, you know, you see a bit of spirit. I know they showed it occasionally. One game against Pats where they really showed it. You could argue a bit of both in that game. You know what I mean? But they never really kind of kicked on from that, like the next week or the next week. You know. And it's just some of the games I've seen them this season as well.
That was always the problem. It was always the problem.
Yeah, the spirit was always brilliant, but this season's not there. 3 defeats to Rovers this season as well, and they generally don't do well at Tallaght Stadium. I know a lot of teams don't, but they usually come away conceding a number of goals there, to be honest with you. And I'm trying to come up with an argument or a bit of positivity for Finn Harps, but there's no point lying to yourself either. It is very difficult, the position they're in, and I suppose one bit of positivity, Barry McNamee's got back in the score sheet in the last summer weeks. He scored a couple of goals, you know. But
yeah,
I don't know. I can't come up with an argument to say they're going to get something out of this game, even with Rovers in Europe on the Thursday.
No, either do I. Look, it's a tough one. It is a tough one for them. And look, they're going to look at other fixtures down the line. Finn Harps won't be looking at this game as an opportunity to win, but they'll be looking at other fixtures in the next couple of weeks, a few home games, and that they'll want to get points into, sort of get into that playoff spot. And look, try and push Drogheda. I don't see it happening, but like they'll want to just get results in them sort of games, the home games and that, and get the crowd and that behind them, because the Finn Harps faithful have been very good to them this season, the fans and that. So I think they deserve a little bit better from what they've seen on the pitch, and I think that is an issue, is they're getting performances against, obviously they had a great win against Drogheda, and then the next week they lose to UCD. Do you know what I mean? Like it's an issue. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you're waiting when they do get the odd win that maybe they'll not go on a massive run, but a couple of games where they get a draw here and a win there, and they haven't done that at all this season. But another player, actually, to be fair to him, I think probably has been their best player this season at times, has been Mark McWoods. When he's been honest, he's looked their best player, you know, and Eric McWoods. Whenever he's been honest, he's looked their best player as well. Like, yeah. But I know Mark McWoods, guys. That's why I said that, I think. But yeah, no, he's very strong. He's aggressive, and he's capable of creating chances and scoring goals as well.
Oh, I think he's quality, to be honest. He's a very, very good player. Like that night against Drogheda, he sort of caught my eyes a little bit. I thought he was very good. Like, do you know what I mean? I was sort of surprised by how good he was. You know what I mean? And I think he's been with them all season, but I think they might have been playing him in the wrong position. And if they can,
he's also missed a few games through injury and stuff as well, like, you know, that kind of way. So, and also if you're playing a team that's generally struggling, it's hard to be brilliant every week.
Yeah, look, that's it as well. But he seemed to be improving as the weeks have gone on, and you know, you struggle to see if he stays in Finn Harps next season. To be honest, it's another one of them ones. You know what I mean? Will he be Finn Harps next season? Probably not. Like, you know what I mean? So, he's a very, very good player, and he's done really well for Finn Harps, and he's got a few goals and that. So, You'd wonder how good he'd do in a better type of team, a better squad. It'd be really interesting to see what way he'd do. But yeah, look, he's a good player for Finn Harps, but I can't see by Shamrock Rovers here. I think it'll be 3-0 Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah, I think something like that as well. Might go 3-1 Shamrock Rovers. I'm also going to be optimistic enough to say they'll win on Thursday as well, maybe 1-0
Yeah,
or something like that. So we'll see
hopefully.
what happens
Please
there.
God.
Absolutely. But guys, let us know what you think in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, hit your bell notification button, and thanks for watching. Cheers, Luke.
Cheers.